What is going on, guys? So, yeah, I haven't posted a video in a while, and I've been out of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Spotlight, and I think it's kind of better because, without any personal opinions and saying any YouTuber names out of the tons that I've watched, I'm not a big fan of some of the ones now. I feel like it's all about the money and not about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, and I feel like everything is just focused on competitive play now, which I like learning about competitive play. That's the point of YouTubing, to give out knowledge of the game, so you can be a better competitive player. But when I was getting into YouTubing and getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, I was liking learning about the competitive play in the competitive game, and people always covering non-competitive decks and other strategies besides Agent Eyes' crazy decks. And I love Agent Eyes' videos, they're funny as hell, but like some of those decks are just not viable at all. But what is making me go about this is Vorty's video they posted a little over a week ago, I'm not sure, of him like freaking out about a tier 4 zero deck, but then again he used Asian Eyes, Asian Eyes' weird deck as an example, which I wouldn't even put that as tier 4. Those weird decks are just completely non-tiered. They're for fun, and it's not like a fun deck. Oh, I play this to P tier. Like there's no tier of it. Like it's just, I'd call it like tier 8 if anything. Like it's just for shits and giggles. It's a gimmick. While tier 4 decks and tier 3 and tier 2 aren't gimmick decks. They're just like they're just good decks that aren't as good as tier 1. And I have a nit to pick about that video, and it's not against Vorty. I think he was just upset about something. It's not towards him, but it's towards what he said. Because I like Vorty videos. I've learned a lot watching his videos when I was getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's not a hate towards Vorty, because some people will take that as that. More my thoughts is about what he said is competitive play and how decks, tier 4 or whatever, I didn't know for example, but how he say lower tier decks, don't play them at a tournament because it's not competitive, don't play non-competitive decks at a competitive tournament. Well, the reason why people play, I know, for me example, to play a competitive deck towards a I always say this, a lower tier competitive deck, because I feel like anything above tier 5 and tier 1, so there's 3 tiers, or tier 5, 4 tiers, is fun to play against top decks. So, example is, I would take Battling Boxers. Why? Because I like Battling Boxers. Are they good? No, well, no, they're good, but they're not great. And I wouldn't expect to do far, but it's people like me, or not saying me as example, I'm just saying because I don't really go to that many tournaments, but people that want to take a lower tier deck to make them better, because then they lose their, oh, what can I do to make this better, to go against the top tier ones. People might not believe this, but believe it or not, Battling Boxers has a great matchup against Shadows, which is a top deck right now. So if I took Battling Boxers, I know what to expect against going Shadows, because every Shadow player I've played on Death Row, and yes, I know you can make scrubs or stuff, but I've literally played so many just testing my Boxers that I found Boxers have a problem with Shadows. I mean, Shadows have a problem with Boxers. It's not that Boxers beat Shadows, like, 24/7, it's just like they have a problem getting over Yoke. For some reason, I don't know why, but they do. They have a problem getting over lead Yoke. Just Shadows. I mean, other decks too, but Shadows, as the new techs, have a problem getting over lead Yoke. But I guess I would say Battle Boxers are tier 3, tier 4, and that would give some decks a problem. And you need decks like that to get to the top. Like, at YCS a while back, everybody was playing the top tier decks, and then out of nowhere, freaking X-Saber deck topped. And that's amazing. You need people like that, so you don't have the same standard 3 decks topping all the time. That is complete bullshit. Why would you not want people to play non-competitive, or I'm going to say non-competitive because he's saying competitive decks are only tier 1. Why would you not want people playing non-competitive decks? It livens up the game, it has to make you ready for everything, and that actually is what makes a tournament competitive. Because if you go into a tournament knowing if only 4 decks were allowed, that isn't very competitive. If you're a good player, and you're going to a competitive tournament, you should be expecting anything. You shouldn't be, yes, your main things you should expect are like Shadows, Burning Abyss, spell books, random shit, like, not random shit, but top-tiered things of that nature, but you should also expect things that you wouldn't expect, like, at all. Freaking Worms, Battling Boxers, for example, Fire Kings, Mermails, freaking Fire Fist, like, it doesn't matter, really. Raccoons, those are just decks I could just think of at the moment. Monarchs, Six Sands, things like that. You should expect everything. Even weird matchups, because it's a competitiveness. Somebody else is trying to be competitive with Blackwings. Even though they know they're not that good, maybe they can go far because everybody's expecting Burning Abyss and Shadows and Lightsworn. Everybody's expecting that, so if he goes in with his Blackwings, maybe he might win a game because nobody has the side cards for it right now because they're expecting all the top tier decks. That's how a game is competitive. That's why I would take Boxers. Nobody would expect them, so nobody's really ready for them. That's a surprise element. That makes me competitive. That makes me competitive in the tournament. saying that bringing a deck that's non-competitive to a competitive tournament is completely stupid, and I feel like he was just upset and he wasn't really thinking, because before he's even taken non-competitive decks to competitive tournaments. So I don't know what was really up his ass, but I would like it to just be known that whatever he said was just completely retarded. The only thing I agree on with him on is, yes, players shouldn't be taking decks that Agent Eyes posts sometimes on his videos that absolutely make no sense and will barely ever work except once. I agree to that, but there's a fine line between gimmicky and just lower tier. And some gimmicky decks are just fun to go against a tournament because, you know what, you can piss off the players who aren't winning, and maybe that will make them lose. They weren't ready for anything because they weren't the competitive enough. They were expecting the top tier meta, and because they're only a meta set player who spent $400 on a meta deck and they like lost and now they're pissed. Well, you know what? That sucks. That's competitive. That's Yu-Gi-Oh. That's any card game for that matter. Sorry, that's my rant. If you agree with me, guys, thumbs this video up, share it, whatever. Once again, not really pissed. I'm not saying this. I have any hate towards MCO48. Just hate towards that specific video. It bugged me for some reason, and it's not because I'm a low tier competitive player. I just didn't think it made sense for as the game in a whole, and I don't probably think I made that much sense rambling about, but whatever. Anyways, like I said, thumbs up, subscribe, all of that. I'll see you later, guys. Peace.